Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of To The Point on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. On the show today, I'm in the midst of royalty. With me on the show is the Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Ashok Gajapathi Raju. Thank you for joining us on the program and welcome to The Point.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Raju, let's get straight to the point and talk about the latest issue to have rocked the civil aviation industry. You said it yourself. You said you're getting heart attacks these days because of what's happening with SpiceJet. What really is happening with SpiceJet? Is it going the Kingfisher Airlines way?
You see, we would not wish that SpiceJet goes the Kingfisher way. But we don't want our airlines to crash. Financially, they are in trouble. And they're in a very difficult situation. We wish them well. And we hope Indian players fly high.
Are you going to bail out the airline? Is the government really going to try and, pull out all its stops to try and bail out the airline?
You see, we don't have a scheme where we would like to give financial packages. We look at aviation as a activity which should contribute, not take away. So in that sense, government might not be inclined to have bailout packages as such. Airlines, they have to perform to survive. If they don't perform, they won't survive.
Okay. A couple of days ago, in fact, a few days ago, you said, cut SpiceJet some slack. You asked the authorities to give them some time because they said that they would ensure that there would be a turnaround 3 months from now. So where does that issue stand as of now?
You see, we'd like to be helpful. But we don't want one drowning man to pull down another along with them. One is bad enough. So that's it.
Okay. Is it a problem with the civil aviation industry, or is it just one particular airline or just a couple of airlines that have caused this problem, and is there a spiraling effect?
You see, the thing is, we have airlines whose books are good. We have airlines which books are not good. These are financial matters. They are dealt outside the airline. The activity that they do is flying people around.
Yes.
So that's it. We want people to fly around. We want cargo to fly around because its contributory effect to the economy is good. The multiplier effect is very good. So in that sense, we'd like them to survive and serve themselves and serve others along.
Okay. You yourself said a few days ago that the civil aviation industry is seeing some turbulent times. What is the plan really to try and revive the civil aviation industry?
You see, civil aviation is essential in a country like ours. We are a big country.
Yes.
We are not a city country. Connectivity is important. And we have built over the years, like today itself I told the Rajya Sabha, we have around close to 31 airports which are non-functional. If you take about a year's time, when no aircraft has utilized that structure.
Yes.
And airports are not cheap. So we have a lot of non-performing assets. So we need to build infrastructure, but we should see that this is not infrastructure which goes as a non-performing asset. Because public fund is required to be put in places and is required to get its optimum utility. So airports are one angle of it. Airports are like a road.
Yes.
You lay the road, if no one uses it, it becomes a non-performing asset.
Yeah, you spoke about it. You said it yourself just now that you raised the issue in the Rajya Sabha where,
I didn't raise issue.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about it today. Yes.
It just came there.
Yeah, 31 airports, you said, that have not seen a single flight take off or land, but you said that's infrastructure and we need that infrastructure. But isn't that hurting the exchequer?
You see, we need that infrastructure. So that infrastructure, why is it that there are no aircrafts landing there? If probably the places were better, activity would have been better. So when we put up a new airport, we got to see why we are putting it up there. And that's the important factor. Does it have a demand? Does the economic activity of the area justify activity like this, can support an activity like this, which again will have a multiplier effect on the economy in that area. Now, tourism, say, is seasonal.
Yes.
Gaya Airport, very busy during a season.
Yes.
So, it should be something like that. Or Ladakh, 3-4 months a year, very busy.
Yes.
Come winter, Goa, very busy. So basically, seasonal things are there. But in these 31, even that figure, that activity is absent.
That's true. That's true.
So what are you putting it up for?
That's the question. I mean, what are you putting it up for? I mean, shouldn't we do away with it?
You see, it's not simple. Now, why has it been put up? You have to go into that. What happened at that time? Was there an airport, say, within a reasonable, say, 2 to 3 hours driving distance from there? If you can reach another place in 2-3 hours, is it worth it?
Yes.
So you have to you have to learn out of the mistakes done in the past. Avoid those mistakes in the future. I think we have a lot of mistakes to learn from.
Yes, we do have a lot of mistakes to learn from, and we hope that we learn from those mistakes. Not just the civil aviation industry, but everyone, in fact, learns from these mistakes. You know, we spoke about a couple of airlines that are doing badly. One is, 6 feet under. The other one seems to be going that way. We hope that they do well for the civil aviation industry. But on the other hand, you have airlines, you yourself said it just now, who are doing extremely well. For instance, there are new airlines coming into the market now. We have AirAsia that has just launched its operations here in India, doing extremely well. We have another airline in the pipeline. I think it's a merger between Tata and Malaysian Airlines called Vistara. It's just waiting for some regulatory approvals really to start flying. So what's the problem really? I mean, mixed responses that are coming in from the civil aviation industry.
You see, civil aviation has a potential. How we harness the potential is important. I understand today when I was interacting with some members of parliament, they told me that in Europe, for instance, they have some legislation also where kind of no airline is allowed to undersell below its what it earns, should be at least paying for its interest, paying for the taxes.
Yes.
And the fuel, of course, the charge. They don't allow airlines to go below that. So I asked them to get me a copy of that. Let me see how it has worked there.
Should we follow that model?
I don't know. I don't know because I have not studied the model. It's just a suggestion that has come about. Let us see where it takes us.
Okay. So that was talking about some of the...
So when you interact, you learn a lot of things.
Anything else in the pipeline that you're looking at? Any other models that you're considering to try and revive the civil aviation industry?
You see, we need more players. As of now, we have, if you look at the international thing, we have so many unused bilaterals. Country to country, there's an agreement. Indians are not able to perform.
Yes.
On the other side, world over, there are some, they don't have these type of regulations that we have. We have certain, I don't know whether, what to call it, you can probably, the correct word will be unique.
Okay.
Because no other country has those type of regulations.
Yes.
Like we have the 5 years and the 20 years.
I'm going to talk to you about that in just a bit.
Rule. Nowhere in the world do they have that. Now,
the 5 by 20
now
rule.
what are you doing with that? You are restricting Indian players.
The 5 by 20 rule, for those of you who do not know what it is, basically it's nothing but 5 years of flying experience in India and a fleet of 20 aircraft and you get an international license. Is there going to be any change in that policy? Are you going to try and bend the rules or break the rules a little bit to try and help out some airlines?
No question of breaking the rule. If the rule
bending,
is
maybe.
Bending also, why? Let it be a open thing. To my mind as an individual, I'm trying to get them to work out on a transparent system where our regional connectivity clocks up ASKs, seat kilometer business.
Yes.
And anybody who performs there should be allowed. Like you can burn and earn points in any airline, similar thing.
Okay.
Why not?
Sure.
So our idea is keep your regional connectivity going. Let the airline earn it. Let the Indian player play. Why do we restrict it?
Okay.
And if in a regional person's expertise is slightly different from, say, international flying expertise, then the ISKs that they have clocked up, they can sell it to another Indian player who's willing to develop an expertise in that direction. So Indians should not be pushing down or pulling down Indians.
Yes. That's very important. That's crucial.
That I
yeah.
think is how we should work it out.
I'm going to slip into a short break now, but before that, I'm going to talk to Mr. Raju about a very interesting aspect. It's something that I want to laud him about. You know, you are a civil aviation minister. You have several privileges when you walk into an airport, but in spite of that, you don't make use of those privileges. You stand with everyone else and go through the regular queues. You take the bus. You don't take a special ferry to go to a plane, and you also carry your own baggage. That's incredible. I mean, it's fantastic.
You see, it gives you a nice feeling, what you have done for so many years. Now, these assignments come rarely and far between. So, it's not an assignment for life. So, you get out of touch if you try to go as a matter of right. But it is a fact that ministers do not carry their bags. In fact, I get my bags grabbed from me, even now. And there's no way of stopping them, but there's no need to take a car on a tarmac, particularly in these days of violence that is happening, where hijacks have come from cars. In Karachi, I understand the weapons were taken on board from an ambassador's car.
Yes.
Now, the ambassador is not a terrorist, doesn't have those connections.
Right.
But some unknown, unidentified person could have driven the cars. Some car that doesn't go into a security check
Yes.
inadvertently could be carrying a
Right.
weapon. I think those type of situations should be avoided.
Sure. Well, there's so much to talk about. We're going to talk about, the FDI in civil aviation. We are also going to talk about the anti-hijacking bill and much more. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. You're watching To The Point in conversation with senior TDP leader and Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Ashok Gajapathi Raju. Mr. Minister, another issue that has rocked Parliament and that has seen the front pages of several newspapers is the Shamshabad Airport in Hyderabad. I mean, what is the issue really as far as that airport is concerned and naming of the terminal is concerned? Is it a closed issue now as far as you are concerned?
You see, what has happened, the Hyderabad Airport was moved from Begumpet to Shamshabad.
Yes.
Before it was moved, it carried Rajiv Gandhi's name and N.T. Ramarao's name. One for international, one for domestic. Commercial operations were brought to a standstill in Begumpet, and it's the Hyderabad Airport that was moved there. There was an agitation. People thought this was not correct. And I agree with them. So I restored N.T. Ramarao's name to the domestic.
Was there a political or an ulterior motive to name it again, rename it again once more, N.T. Ramarao Domestic Terminal?
I won't call it a political, an ulterior motive. Political, yes. After all, why do you name things? To honor the memory of people so that the future generations get motivated.
So do you think the BJP leaders from Telangana then have some kind of a, they've been protesting against the name. They're saying that it should not be named NTR. It should be named after someone who belongs to the Telangana region because Hyderabad is part of Telangana now.
We don't object to that. If you have any names, suggestions, give it. They can
So
be
you're open to that then?
They can be looked into. Like the Chennai airport, one is Kamraj, one is Annadurai.
Yes.
Recently, the Tamil Nadu people and the then Chief Minister, Jayalalitha ji, she wanted MGR to come there. Now, the third activity is what we are trying to search for, one activity which can be appropriately. It is to honor the memory of a person. After all, the Chennai airport is Chennai airport. The Hyderabad airport is Hyderabad airport. And historically, nobody can put the clock back.
Yes.
Andhra Pradesh was a linguistic state till the other day. Today you are two states. That's fact.
All right. Let's talk about the Air India, the public sector carrier. Of course, it's going through a troubled time. Also, Air India is not doing too well. We've seen the logbooks in the negative over the last few years. What is the plan really as far as Air India is concerned? Is the government going to bail out Air India?
You see, there was a turnaround plan and a financial reconstruction plan worked out a few years back.
Yes, 2006.
It was worked out and it is going on. There are certain targets put across to Air India. Air India is expected to perform. And if it wants to survive, it must perform.
So the prerogative is with Air India now.
Obviously, they are the ones who are running the show. Huh?
So no help from the government whatsoever, or it will just continue to be this budgetary allocation that you've been giving Air India from 2006. It was 5,000 crores this year.
It was linked to performance. And they have to perform. Otherwise, the linkage is with performance.
Right. So is Air India at some point in time going to be privatized?
Well, I'm not against privatization, neither am I against the public sector. I would like this airline to survive, like this airline to grow, and like this airline to serve the Indian people.
Okay. How does it look for Air India at the moment? Because I want a straight answer from you.
You see, as of now, they have to burn the midnight oil, tighten their belt and work hard. If they do that, if they outgrow this indiscipline that has rampant there, I don't see any reason why they should slip. They have the expertise. In fact, it's Air India's expertise that is being utilized by other airlines. And people retired there are literally the consultants of the other airlines.
That's true. That's true.
So they have the expertise. It's not as if they don't have. They just have to summon the will and work.
Talking about expertise, do you believe that the civil aviation industry on the whole, here in India especially, lacks the technical know-how as far as expertise in the field is concerned?
No, I disagree with that. They have the Indians are second to none in the world. In fact, the recent Mars expedition, no country in the world was able to do it successfully in its first trial.
Yes.
India was.
So the technical know-how is present, is what you're saying?
Technical know-how presence is there. Capability is very much there.
So what's the problem there?
The will to do it. If they pull up their socks, tighten their belts, and go for it, I'm sure they'll achieve it.
Now, talking about FDI in civil aviation, considering that the industry is going through such a turbulent time, I'm quoting your words once again, is the government going to change its policy as far as FDI in civil aviation is concerned?
Yeah, government formulates policies, keeping a lot of things in mind, and civil aviation is one of those activities. I don't think the policy should change just because of civil aviation. The policy should be there, and attracting investment from anywhere is not wrong, provided it serves the Indian people and Indian interests. That's it.
So that's what you're looking at. As long as it serves Indian interests, you do not mind investments coming into the sector, and provided they go by the rules.
Yeah, obviously. Obviously. Rules and law has to be respected.
Let's talk about the airport authorities of India now. I mean, 125 airports under its belt. Don't you think it's the authority is a little too overburdened with trying to look after so many airports? There are 11 international airports as well among those 125.
You see, I don't think that organization is overburdened. But they also have to develop a commercial sense. Aviation started worldwide as a military activity. Then other things followed. Today, it is economic.
Yes.
So they have to become more economically inclined. They have to build that commercial thinking into their working. If they do that, I think they will succeed in, and be useful to India and help in India's economic growth, revival, whatever you wish to call it, in whichever way you wish to call it. So they have to become more commercial in their thinking.
Okay. So, as far as airports are concerned, privatization of 6 airports was cancelled recently. Is the government against privatization of airports?
You see, we are not against privatization or not for public sector like that. There should be reasons behind it. Now, right now, if you look at it, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore and Hyderabad. These are the places that are private.
Yes.
Now, Bombay, that is Mumbai and Delhi, they contribute a sizable revenue to Airports Authority of India. While probably if you look at Kolkata and Chennai, well, at least 25% of, say, what Delhi should be available there, because that's the traffic type of situation. But that is not to be. So they need to look at things commercially. When they work commercially, their cost factor, they can attractively price it. So that will be a motivation to the airlines. They can pass on some of this revenue to bring down the costs per passenger, absorb certain things, and build up new infrastructure elsewhere. So, what they are charged with, if they can do, it will be fantastic.
Okay. Before we wind up the show today, one final question before I let you go. We want to know about the Anti-Hijacking Bill. As is it going to be introduced in this session of Parliament, and is the government going to push for it?
I think government would like to finish with it. You see, the old anti-hijacking bill was introduced in the Raj Sabha something like 2010.
Yes.
In that year itself, the Beijing Protocol came in and expanded the definition of a hijacker, the definition of hijacking. These two things were basically, this is the main thing there. So it has already, the old bill went through the consultative committees and have come out. So it is just incorporation of these definitions that are there. So the old cabinet recently permitted the old bill to be withdrawn and the new bill to be presented. So we hope that we will be able to finish it this session in both the Raj Sabha and the Lok Sabha and make it law.
All right. In
line with so many countries in the world. It did take some time because India first becomes the signatory in this thing. Then that has to be ratified by the cabinet of our own government.
Yes.
Unfortunately, cabinets did not meet for some time and all that problem was there. So things didn't happen. So now that governance is slowly coming back, I think it should happen.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have on this edition of To The Point. I'd like to thank my guest at this point in time, Mr. Ashok Gajapathi Raju. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and much appreciate you sharing those important views with us. That's all the time we have. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.